have r of x equals 52x minus 0.5x squared, and c of x, cost of course, 22x minus 1. Perfect. I find the maximum profit in the number of units that must be produced and sold in order to yield the maximum profit. Assume that these are in dollars. Okay, perfect. So first I'm asked to find the max profit. What will be the first step? I'm given the revenue and the cost functions, and I'm asked to find the maximum profit. How do I do that?
Subtract the cost function from the revenue?
Yes, excellent. So I have to write P of X. That's a definition, right? I have to write R of X minus C of X so I don't make a mistake. I will write 52x minus 0.5x squared minus, put parentheses so I know I will not forget to subtract everything from the cost. Then I will rewrite 52x minus 0.5x squared minus 22x but plus 1. I will rearrange the entire function correctly. This is in the descending order, in other words. 52x minus 22x is plus 30x and plus 1. I found the profit function. What is my step 2? After all these calculations, finding the maximum, finding the profit was the first thing.
And differentiate?
Absolutely. We have to differentiate. So I have to find P prime of x, which is negative x plus 30. Then I have to find, in step 3, anyone please? In step 3, say it again.
Find that?
No, the question is only asking us to find the maximum profit. Why did I find the derivative? What is the idea behind it? What am I looking for?
Equal to 0?
Yes. So I have to find critical numbers. Thank you very much. Either set it equal to 0 or set it equal to undefined if you want to say. Well, this is not possible because it's linear. The linear function is always defined for everything. Good. So when I set this equal to 0, I get x equals 30. And this is in units. In step 4, if step 4 is missing, I am so sorry, but I will not be able to give full credit. This is the most important step, actually. Yes, this is very important, but this is the most important one, in which I prove, I show my knowledge of calculus. What does that mean? Well, I create this table with r prime and r of x. I put 0 because the number of units cannot be negative. If you want to put infinity, it's not the case, of course, but I show that between 0 and this is, I find 30. I know that the revenue is 0, and I have to study the sign of the derivative. So please plug in 0 here and tell me the sign of the derivative. Plug in 100 here and tell me the sign of the derivative.
For 0 it's positive.
Good. And for 100 is?
Negative.
Excellent. So obviously this is the situation. This guarantees a maximum. This, the fact that the derivative is positive before the critical number and the derivative is negative after the critical number, this means that the function is increasing and then it's decreasing. So that's why this is the maximum. So in this class, please don't say, well, I know it's a quadratic function. I know it has a maximum. No, that doesn't work. It's correct, but it doesn't work. This is the part that we learned. Yes, this is the part that we learned in this class. And this has to be shown. Yes, go ahead.
What if we find f double prime? Would that show that it's a maximum or would that not count?
You have to find f double prime, which is most of the time more difficult. And then you have to show that in that territory, the critical number creates shows that F double prime is holding water or it's not.
Okay.
So you are working way too hard.
Okay. All right.
Is it acceptable? Absolutely. You are using the second derivative test. But if you make a mistake on the first derivative and you don't study the sign, when you get to the second derivative, the mistake will be even bigger.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay.
Absolutely acceptable. If it's correct, 100%.
Okay.
So now I have to plug in 30. So this tells me the sign, tells me that it's a maximum, but the problem is also asking us to find the actual maximum. So I have to go back to the to the profit function and plug in 30. Okay, so back sharing. You can say, don't plug it in, it's just one function. Yes, I agree with you completely. Negative 0.5x squared, if you don't want to do this, that's fine, because it's only one value that we are interested in, plus 30x. I just prefer to see the function and then plug it in, because it's easier for me. I don't have to put too many parentheses, yada, yada, yada. So I see the function, and the calculator gives me 451, and that's it. So what this means is that, where are we? Okay, so what does this mean? It means that the absolute maximum is $451, and it is obtained when we manufacture and sell 30 units. Very good question. Thank you so much. Any questions on this? Anyone? Please, anything?
Can we do a volume question?
Which one?
A volume question?
Yes, sure. Let's do a volume question. So the volume questions are in 3.8, I think. No, 3.5. Oh, you mean related rates? In 3.9, we're talking about related rates. Is that what you're?
I think there was a question doing volume in 3.9. I could be mistaken.
So, can you indicate the problem or the section?
I can look it up later if you want.
So, you want a max min with the volume? We just did a max min, which is fine. We can do another. Is that what you meant?
I just wanted to do a volume question because I'm having difficulties with the volume.
But the volume question is a max min. Is that what you're saying, or is you're talking about related rates? Because you said 3.9.
We can do a max min. That's fine.
So you want a max min with the volume?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, got it. So those problems are in 3.5. So where is my book? I got it. And we are on page 329. I'm sharing my screen. Where are you guys? I have too many windows open. Okay. So 329. Okay, so from a thin piece of cardboard, is that what you have in mind? We did this problem, I think, together. Do you want to look at something else? We looked at this problem in class.
Yeah, can we do 21?
21, but this is the surface area. You said volume. It's fine. Let's look at the surface area. So Mendoza Soup Company is constructing an open-top, square-based, rectangular metal tank that will have a volume of 32 cubic feet. So square base. So here's our graph, square base. X, 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 and the height. And they are giving us the volume. Again, so that's the first thing I need to do, just graph. So it's 32 cubic feet. Perfect. What dimensions will minimize the surface area? And what is the minimum surface area? Perfect. So in order to find the surface area, and I think it said no top. Let me double check. An open top, square base, rectangular metal tank. Good. So the surface area, as we did before, is made of the area of the base, which is a square. Can anyone give us the area of a square?
Inch times width and height.
The area of a square.
This is length times width.
Good. So what is this for this?
Would be this x is x.
Which is? Thank you.
X squared.
Plus 4 identical sides. Can anyone give us the area of one side?
XH.
Very good. So this is the surface area. We have a problem because we have x and h, but we know the volume. So you already told me that the volume is base times height, area of the base times the height, length times width times height. So we do have x squared times h. We are given the volume. It's 32. So this is x squared times h. I can solve this for h and later on plug it in. Can anyone solve this equation for h?
H is equal to 32 over x squared.
Perfect. Awesome. So now I will replace h by 32 over x squared, and now finally this is indeed a function of one variable. X squared plus 4x times 32 over x squared. Factors, I can simplify one of those, and then I get the final form of the surface area to be x squared plus 4 times 32 is 128 divided by x. All this effort was to define the surface area as a function of one variable and one variable alone. Good, like before. So this was step 1. What is step 2?
Do we have to find the derivative?
Good, good. S prime of x. Please remember this is 2x minus 128 over x squared. Please remember 1 over x. We discussed this many times before. This is negative 1 over x squared. I have to find the least common denominator, and there is only 1. So this is 2x cubed minus 128. What is step 3? The steps are identical for max min. Everything is identical regardless of the function. Anyone? Step 3.
Equal to 0.
Or undefined. So we set it equal to 0 or undefined. It's undefined when x is 0, but x cannot be 0. Then if x is 0, there is no base. When is a fraction 0?
When the numerator is
Exactly. 2x cubed minus 128 equals 0. Awesome. Excellent. Move 128 and divide by 2. So I get x cubed equals 64. What do I do now to solve for x? Great job. Thank you.
64 to the 1/3 power.
Yes. We take the cube root and we get x equals 4. Awesome. What is step 4, without which I cannot get full credit? The table. I have in step 4, I have to create the table. So this is s prime of x, and this is s of x. 0 to infinity makes no sense, but you know what I mean. 0 here. So I'm looking at this expression. I have to study the sign of this. I refuse to study the sign of the denominator because it's always positive. So please plug in 0 in here and tell me the sign.
Negative.
Yes, indeed. Please plug in 100 in here and tell me the sign. So 100 cubed, yes, of course. So this is definitely the situation for a minimum. Negative slope, positive slope, it must be a minimum. Okay? So I have to find the minimum. How do I find the minimum? I plug in 4 in the original function. So in y equals, I put in my function, and I have x squared plus 128. 128 divided by x. All I have to do is plug in 4, and that's it. And I got 48. So this 4 is in feet, and this is the area. What is the area measured in? That's the volume.
Square feet.
Very good. Good, moving on. Other questions for me before we continue? Anything else you'd like to go over? Very good requests, I love it. Okay, so let's talk about how you study a sign on a closed interval. How to study it, not the sign, but the function, I meant to say. The absolute max min. So that is on page 314. Okay, am I sharing? No, I'm not sharing. Okay, now I am. Good. So we're given different functions and we're asked to study those functions on a closed interval. Anyone would like to pick? If not, I will.